Hey, this is John from Alloy 211. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at what's inside this small black box. And what's inside this small black box, you may ask? Well, I think it's the best value in a micro red dot sight that you can get at the moment. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and open it up and take a look. If you watched my recent video on the $30 super economical micro red dot sight, you'll know that I've been in the market for a say $100 value micro red dot sight. Gee, many Christmas, I didn't realize that was a tongue twister. But something in about the $100 price range, at least quality wise, but because I'm frugal, not cheap, I didn't want to spend anywhere near $100. I wanted to spend say $50 or $30. So the other micro red dot, other than the extremely cheap one I saw on Amazon, which also does seem serviceable, so go ahead and check that video out if you haven't already, was the Bushmaster micro red dot with riser at CDNN. Now they said that this has a list price of $125, but they are selling it for $45. Now granted, they say MSRP, but whenever anybody lists MSRP, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're going to pay for it somewhere else. When I looked around, I did see these a few other places for around the $85 mark. So really, let's call this like an $85 micro red dot, just for comparison's sake. But it is for sale at CDNN for $45 right now. So if you're in the market for a micro red dot and they still have them, keep watching because you may want to buy this bad boy. I don't know if it's really a bad boy. I mean, it's an optics, so it's really not that like bad. Well, or if it is bad, then it's actually bad, I think. Anyway, comes with instructions, cloth, plastic bag. It's not really the interesting part. Okay, now let's go ahead and take an overall look at the body. Very similar to our ATS3 comparison red dot. You know, very similar. A little bit longer maybe, but not much. And compared to our $30 Aid, it's about the same. Maybe again, slightly longer, but almost the exact same. I mean, you look at it, they are very similar. They are not the same though. The outer housings are different. That's something I was curious about, honestly, when I was looking at these. It's like, well, I wonder if this is really just the same thing, but they call it a Bushmaster. But it's not. There are actually a significant amount of differences in the way it's shaped and so on. Although, I mean, this is a very close knockoff. So if you're just looking at pictures of it online, you would maybe think that this was the same thing. It is not. So we'll set it over here. Let's go ahead and pull our lens caps off. Now, much like on the AT3, we have a coated front lens. Similar back. Not coated, but similar. Although we do have a quick release, which this quick release actually seems to be much better than the one on the cheap micro red dot. We do have, if you watched that video, you'll remember I mentioned the springs. Let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit, maybe you can see this. Oh, there, way too much. There we go. Now in this one, you can see that there's a spring right there. And it has two springs, just like the other one, but instead of having them kind of in a upper mount, kind of upper area there and being small and kind of fiddly, these springs are much bigger and they seem to engage much more strongly with where they're mounted. So I don't think you really have to worry about those coming out. So this quick release is actually really nice. It feels solid. I like that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the battery. This is something in the cheap red dot sight I didn't mention about the ATS3 that I did like about it. And this does come with the battery. Because this is something that these two red dot sights have in common. I do like that. And it does. Okay, now I'm going to be honest. I am a little curious if these are made in the same factory or similar factories. And part of why I'm curious about that is because of the way the battery is held in place. It's this O-ring around the lower portion that holds the battery in place. So that's what actually kind of springs the prongs in place to hold the battery. That's cool. It's a neat design. And I thought it was interesting that both of these have that design. And not only that, they both have dials that indicate up to 11. So that was kind of an interesting quinky dink there. Uh-oh. And both of them seem to have the exact same cap. Okay, well, I guess There we go, screwing in, good. I'm sure that's it. I'm sure my friend Nick won't mind if I accidentally put the wrong cap on here. It's cool. I'm sure that's not what made the other one worth $100. Could be though, what if that was it? While we're here, let's go ahead and take the elevation and windage adjustment caps off. It's kind of another interesting similarity. These caps, I think, are the same. And the reason why I say that's interesting is because that is something that's different. See, this is our cheap one. That is something that is different between the cheap one and the $100 one. But the ones on the $100 micro red dot are the same as the ones off of the Bushmaster one. So that's interesting. Okay. Good. So we can just compare them. Okay, we have up and elevation marked, tells you which way it goes. Same thing with windage, although this is left with an arrow. So, well, which makes sense because, see, they're on the opposite sides, so it makes sense. It makes sense. Let's go ahead and mix these caps up. That way I can have totally wrong caps on either one of these optics. Someone can complain about it later, maybe. There you go. And so that we can have a fair evaluation of the power of the red dot, I'll go ahead and grab our dark background. Well, this one will start at 1, go to 11. Now as you can see, oh, let's grab our cloth. Always want to use your cloth. Wipe off your lenses. There you go. There we go. Okay, and we are now on 1, which, oh, I think I saw it there for a second, maybe. Maybe. This is so tedious. There, no. Okay, let's go back to 11. Oh, it's way easier to start at 11. Just like Spinal Tap, turn it up to 11. Wow, that is bright at 11. And 10 also bright, like a small neutron star. And 9 also bright. 8 also bright. 7, oh, darker or dimmer. And 6, if I can get it on camera. Oh, there we go. No. There we go, 6, 5. You know, and that's kind of like the other one. They do get dimmer from 11 to 6, but it's not that noticeable until you hit 5. And then it's like, wow, I can barely see that little guy. And that's 3. And I am having a heck of a time getting it anywhere. Oh, maybe, nope. Yeah, it's hard to get 3. Maybe I need to wipe this off a little bit more. Maybe we have a bit of a reflection on our lens. Let's see if that helps. No. Okay, well, I'm going to call it on. Oh, there we go. I saw it for like a second, like a half a second. So anyway, yeah, I mean, you turn them way down and let me look at it from here. Yeah, no, when I have it on 3 and I'm looking at it against a white background, it is very dim. So, and this is obviously a brand new battery. And since we're not going to be able to see it there, yeah, with the bright light, 2 and 1 pretty much disappear. Wow, but 11 is so bright that when I look at it, at the wall over here, it's actually causing a bunch of flare inside the tube. So, now 8 seems about perfect. So anyway, let's go ahead and, like I said, I have a tendency to kill the crap out of these batteries, so let's go ahead and shut it off. Overall build quality on this, intensity of the red dot, all seems really nice. Well, let's go ahead and click the adjustments. You know, want to make sure that they do have clicks and they feel good. So, yeah, pretty positive. Yeah, pretty positive. Actually, I think maybe not quite as positive as on the cheaper optic, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the cheaper optic is any easier to adjust. Now, let's go and set that there, set that there. Advantages, let's go ahead and set that there and then make it so you can only see one of them. Okay, actually let's get rid of that. Okay. Advantages, pardon me, and disadvantages of each one of these. Let's see if I can kind of get it lined up right. The camera is actually at a somewhat funny angle to me, so I've been trying to keep myself lined up, but sometimes it doesn't work that well. But each one of these does seem to have a few advantages and disadvantages. Oh, before I get too far, this does have the same 4-screw locking mechanism. One of the things I did not like about the Red Dot, or about the Bushmaster Red Dot, is that it only can be used with the riser. It does not come with another base like our cheaper, micro Red Dot that we bought on Amazon. Now I can use this because it uses the same mounting system as this. I can use this to mount this on here if I want to mount it lower. So that's kind of cool. Something else that's nice to get with your cheaper micro Red Dot. And that is one of the advantages to the cheaper one. Now, in build quality and all that, it seems to be relatively good for the cheap one, but the Bushmaster is definitely better. The Bushmaster build quality wise seems to be a lot more on par with the other $100 micro Red Dot. This does just seem a little bit lighter, a little bit not quite as nice. Now the quick release, definitely, I mean, it's there, it functions, and that's all I can say about that. Now on the Bushmaster, it's there, it functions, and you're like, ooh, I like that. So obviously better. And on this ATS3, well, no quick release, you just got to use the clamp. So, but hey, it does, you can mount it low, so that's a plus too. Overall, if I were going to be buying just one of these, now granted, I didn't buy this one, so can I set that over there? If I were going to buy any one of these three, I would definitely go with the Bushmaster at $45 from CDNN right now. I don't think you could probably get a better micro Red Dot. And granted, you can get this $100 one all day long everywhere. Well, not everywhere, different places. You probably won't be able to get this $45 one forever. So I would pick this up before I couldn't. And again, cheap one, we'll see how that holds up. I'm really thinking the lenses may pop out. Bushmaster one, everything about this, I'm really thinking this will do great. We're gonna try it on a couple different rifles. I'm gonna really try it on some that are gonna have some pretty brutal recoil, so we'll see if this one holds up. I won't try the super cheap one on anything that I think is just going to break it first shot, like maybe third or fourth shot, because, well, being frugal, you don't want to break your cheap stuff, even if it's cheap, because I could always put this on a 22 or something else. And we will continue to use this on the 7.62 by 39 upper when we shoot it a little more in some up and coming videos. So if I can get this in any sort of a straight line, we will close. Did we get it? Kind of, sort of, we got it. Okay, so if you liked this video, if you found it informative and helped you decide on what kind of micro Red Dot you might want to buy, I'd really appreciate a like. If you watched some of my other videos and you enjoy those too, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. So thanks, and I hope you have a great day.